Udoka was known for her clever tricks and mischievous ways. One day, as the village prepared for a big Christian celebration, Udoka heard about special gifts being given to pregnant women. Udoka wasn't pregnant, but she really wanted those gifts. So, she came up with a sneaky plan. She decided to disguise herself as a pregnant woman for a whole day. Early in the morning, Udoka woke up and stuffed a big pillow under her dress. She wadded cloth around her tummy until it looked nice and round. Then she practiced walking with a little waddle, just like the pregnant lady she had seen. When she was ready, Udoka left her house and headed to the village square. People smiled at her, thinking she was expecting a baby. Some even offered to help her walk. As she reached the church, Udoka saw a long line of real pregnant women waiting for their gifts. Her heart beat fast. Would anyone notice her trick? Slowly the line moved forward. Udoka watched as women received beautiful blankets, tiny clothes, and baskets full of food. Her eyes grew wide with excitement. Finally, it was almost Udoka's turn. She was so close to getting the gifts. But just then she felt a tickle in her nose. Oh no, she was about to sneeze. Udoka tried to hold it in, but it was too strong. Achoo! She sneezed loudly. The pillow under her dress shifted a little. Udoka froze, her heart pounding. Had anyone noticed? She quickly adjusted her dress, hoping to hide the shifted pillow. The woman behind her gave her a strange look, but said nothing. As Udoka inched closer to the front of the line, she could hear the happy voices of women receiving their gifts. She was so close now. But then she heard something that made her stomach drop. Udoka? Is that you? It was her neighbour, Mrs. Adebayo, walking towards her with a puzzled expression. I didn't know you were expecting. Udoka's mind raced. What should she say? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Mrs. Adebayo was getting closer, her eyes narrowing as she looked at Udoka's belly. Just then, a commotion broke out near the church entrance. Someone had dropped a basket of fruits, and oranges were rolling everywhere. People turned to look, momentarily distracted. Udoka saw her chance. She quickly waddled away from the line, pretending to help pick up the oranges. As she bent down, she felt her fake belly slipping again. She had to think fast. She grabbed an armful of oranges, holding them against her stomach to hide the shifting pillow. But now she had a new problem. How could she get back in line without anyone noticing? As Udoka stood there, caught between wanting the gifts and fear of being discovered, she saw the village elder walking towards the gift-giving area. He had a kind face, but he knew everyone in the village. If he saw her... Udoka's mind whirled. Should she run? Should she confess? Or should she try to bluff her way through? The elder was getting closer, and time was running out. Udoka's heart raced as the village elder approached. She clutched the oranges tighter, trying to keep her fake belly in place. Just as the elder was about to reach her, a little boy ran up to him, tugging on his sleeve. "Elder! Elder!" the boy cried. "There's a goat eating the flowers by the church." The elder turned to look, giving Udoka a moment to slip away. She waddled as fast as she could towards a group of real pregnant women, hoping to blend in. As she reached the group, one of the women smiled at her. "Oh, you poor dear, you look so uncomfortable. Here, let me help you sit down." Before Udoka could protest, the kind woman was guiding her to a bench. Udoka sat carefully, worried that her pillow might shift again. "When are you due?" another woman asked, patting Udoka's belly. Udoka's mind raced. Soon," she said, trying to sound convincing. The women nodded sympathetically. "You're first?" one asked. Udoka nodded, not trusting herself to speak more. She was surrounded by real pregnant women now, and they were all sharing stories about their pregnancies. What if they asked her something she couldn't answer? Just then, she heard an announcement. "We will now begin handing out the special gifts to our expectant mothers." Udoka felt a mix of excitement and dread. She was so close to getting the gifts, but now she was trapped on the bench, surrounded by women who might realize she wasn't really pregnant. As the first woman stood to collect her gift, Udoka felt something strange. The oranges she had been holding against her stomach were getting warm and squishy. With horror, she realized that they were starting to leak juice onto her dress. A dark stain was spreading across her front. The other women hadn't noticed yet, but they would soon, and if they did, her trick would be revealed. Udoka looked around desperately. The exit seemed so far away. The gift table was even closer. Could she make a run for it? Or was there another way out of this mess? As Udoka sat there, panic rising, she suddenly heard a familiar voice. It was her younger sister Amara, calling out to her from across the churchyard. "Udoka, there you are, I've been looking everywhere for you." Amara rushed over, her eyes widening as she took in the scene. Udoka could see the confusion on her sister's face, but before Amara could say anything, Udoka grabbed her hand and whispered urgently, "Please, help me." Thinking quickly, Amara announced loudly, "Oh no, sister, your water is broken. We must get you to the midwife right away." The women around Udoka gasped and started fussing. In the commotion, Amara helped Udoka to her feet, cleverly positioning herself to hide the orange stain on Udoka's dress. As they hurried away, one of the church helpers called out, "Wait, don't forget your gift basket." Udoka froze, torn between her desire for the gifts and her fear of being caught. Amara, sensing her sister's dilemma, said, "I'll get it for her. She needs to go now." As Amara went to collect the basket, Udoka stood alone, unsure what to do next. She could run away now, but then she wouldn't get the gifts. If she waited, she risked being exposed. Just then, she felt a tap on her shoulder. It was Mrs. Adebayo again, looking concerned. "Udoka, dear, are you all right? You don't look well at all." Udoka opened her mouth, but no words came out. Mrs. Adebayo's eyes travelled down to Udoka's dress, where the orange stain was now clearly visible. "Oh my!" Mrs. Adebayo exclaimed. "What happened here?" Udoka's mind raced. Should she confess everything, make up another story, or try to run away? And where was Amara with that gift basket? As she stood there, caught between truth and trickery, Udoka realized that her 24 hours of disguise were quickly coming to an end. But how would it end? That was the question that hung in the air as Mrs. Adebayo waited for an answer. Udoka took a deep breath, her mind racing. Just as she was about to speak, a loud crash echoed through the churchyard. Everyone turned to look, including Mrs. Adebayo. In the commotion, Udoka saw Amara running towards her, gift basket in hand. Without thinking, Udoka grabbed her sister's arm and they both started running as fast as they could away from the church. They ran through the village, dodging curious onlookers and jumping over small obstacles. Udoka's fake belly bounced awkwardly as they ran, threatening to fall out at any moment. "Quick! This way!" Amara panted. Pulling Udoka down a narrow alley between two houses, they crouched behind some barrels trying to catch their breath. "What were you thinking?" Amara whispered, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and amusement. Before Udoka could answer, they heard voices approaching. It was some of the village women, apparently looking for them. "Did you see where they went?" one voice asked. "I think they ran this way," another replied. Udoka and Amara held their breath, hardly daring to move. The voices got closer and closer. Suddenly, a shadow fell across their hiding spot. "Hey, what are you two doing back here?" a deep voice boomed. Udoka looked up, her heart pounding. It was Chidi, the village troublemaker. He looked at Udoka's bulging dress, then at the gift basket, a mischievous grin spreading across his face. Well, he chuckled. "What do we have here?" Udoka and Amara exchanged panicked glances. Chidi knew they were up to something, but would he help them or turn them in? Just then, they heard the village elder's voice calling out, "Has anyone seen Udoka? We're worried about her." Chidi looked at the sisters, then towards the sound of the elder's voice. He seemed to be making up his mind about something. Udoka held her breath. Their fate was in Chidi's hands now. Would he give them away? Or would he become an unexpected ally in their scheme?